everyone. This is Kama with the online talk show, Pursuing Your Passion. And my guest is the one that's a long time coming. I'm so excited that I'm finally able to interview my guest. He is an inspirational hip hop artist. I want you all to welcome my guest, Mr. Sens Musiq. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your patience and your diligence, and I thank you again for this opportunity. It's awesome just to be here.
Well, I appreciate you. Let's talk about what you do. Let's talk about inspirational hip hop artist. That is something that's a little different because I haven't heard that term. It's normally either just hip hop or Christian hip hop or Christian rap. Let's talk about how Sens Musiq came about and what's inspirational hip hop.
Wow. Well, Sens Musiq came about, just kind of got tired of hearing a lot of the negative music that was out. And my grandmother and I are really close, and one day she was just like, I don't like rap music. And I'm like, why? And she was just like, it's vulgar, doesn't make sense. And, back in the day, I guess in my high school days, they called me senseless because of my sense of humor. I was so willing to do anything to make people laugh. And I guess when I came into myself and when I came into God, it was just like I gained a sense of who I was. And, I wanted to make music that makes sense. And hence Sens Musiq, because it was music that I wanted to make, music that came from my heart. Inspirational hip hop. The term inspirational came because I really didn't like the term gospel because I felt like it alienated a world who needed to hear the message.
Wow.
And then, hip hop, even though it's kind of, for the most part, demonized, I wanted to give a refreshing aspect of it. And so I came up with the term, I guess God gave me inspirational, because I wanted to inspire a world. I wanted to inspire people who were hurt and dying, to kind of be free of the hurt and live. And, most people, it's difficult for them to live because they don't really know what that term means. And so I wanted to introduce that term, what it meant to live through hurt, through pain, through struggle, through trials, through tribulations, and how to be inspired in spite of that. And so inspirational hip hop, kind of came up with it, and it sounded cool. And so I wanted to kind of make that be something. You didn't know what rap was until, there were artists who kind of paved the way to make it be a genre. And so my goal before I stop is to make inspirational hip hop be a worldwide term or household name, so that's my goal.
What age did you realize that, or did you even start rapping? Is that something you started really early or something you discovered later on in life?
Oh, no, I've been rapping since I was young, I was in my teens. And I actually started gospel rapping. That's how I was introduced to rap. I was gospel rapping, but it was funny because the first rap song that I learned was LL Cool J, I Need Love.
Oh, wow.
And, if people are familiar with the LL of the past, in him kind of storytelling, he was vivid in getting his point across. And, it was just like, as I kind of grew into rap, the church hurt me because it wasn't receptive to my message.
Yeah.
And I kind of stepped away and, did the quote unquote worldly thing. But in the midst of me doing that, it was like God was introducing himself to me because I grew up in church. But I grew up in church. I grew up in religion. I didn't grow up in relationship.
Yes.
And so the moment that I began to be frustrated with the church, it was easy to walk away because I didn't have a relationship with a God who was kind of directing me through the nonsense or the things that I saw. And I walked away. And in me walking away, God showed me how much of a sacrifice I would have to make as far as giving up myself if this is the music that I wanted to do. And, it was just like, wow, that's not really what I wanted to do. So that brought me back to this moment, brought me back full circle. And so from that moment, I've been doing it for about maybe 4 years now, going really hard and touring and going different places. And so it's been a great experience.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard you, I was at the Shield of Faith actually it was last year. They had a convention on their youth day, I
Okay.
remember you coming in, and at first thing, I'll be honest with you, because I was like, oh, rapper, I don't want to hear this. And I was like, here we go. I was like, dang, I just can't escape it. But when I
Okay.
heard you, I was just like, okay, I can listen to this. I can dig this. So it changed me a little bit, because I was just like, gospel rap to me was just like, no. And then
Hmm.
when we talked later, you said you called it inspirational hip hop, and I love that name. But it's just sometimes people with the rapping, it's so much like the world, you can't really tell. But
Hmm.
this time with you, it was different.
Hmm.
It was
Wow.
different, and
Wow.
I loved it. And so my hats off to what you're doing. You,
Thank
you,
you. Thank you.
you oh, you're welcome. And you mentioned something. You said how you grew up in the church,
Uh-huh.
and you grew up in religion. And I think that's
Hmm.
what the problem is these days, is that we're very religious rather than having that relationship. And I tell people, I'm not religious.
Hmm.
Somebody came to me and says, oh, I thought you were a religious person. I said, no, I'm not religious. My relationship with the Lord and religion is two different things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you learned as a kid,
Hmm.
the Bible says train up a child. So you were able to take your what you did as a child. You were like, you've been hurt, whatever happened, but you came back. God brought you back full force, full force. So I know you are completely sold out. Um,
Man,
with
man.
How has this journey been, especially with it being inspirational hip hop? How has this been compared to how you would think if you were doing something more secular?
Oh wow. This journey has been like, wow. It's been an amazing one. Like, even through like the ups and downs, like there's always a consistency in the downs. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, it's like every time I get to this place of wanting to be depressed because I'm not where I feel like I should be as an artist, or maybe I'm not impacting the amount of people that I would love to, or I'll go on my YouTube uh, videos, and I'll look at the number of different views, and I don't see the same amount for the Drakes or the Jay-Z's, and I'm like, I get deflated.
Yeah.
But then it's like, at that moment, I'm literally like walking down the street, or, at some random place. And it's like, Sense Music. And I'm like, huh? And they're like, I love your music. I love what you do. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, who am I to
Mhm.
have a dream and people receive my dream as if it's instruction for life, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, this journey has been amazing. I've been to cities that I've never been. I've gotten a chance to meet people that I've never wouldn't have got a chance to meet. I've opened up for people who have been like my role models in ministry, and literally like, you know, I listened to them on a daily before I even began to have the mindset to develop this relationship. But it's like, when God loves you, he'll do anything that he has to do in order to get your attention, and it's
Right.
just a matter of you kind of paying attention to it. So like I said, I mean, this ride has been an amazing one, even in those moments to where it's like, brought forth tears because of me feeling hurt. It was just like, I hear the voice of God saying like, people can't hate you unless people love you. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Yes.
people who are nobodies don't have haters.
Right. Right.
People who
Right.
aren't fighting to become something don't have haters, because the moment that they recognize you doing something, you know what I mean? It's their goal to net. I don't necessarily say want to stop it, because I don't think that people really understand the power of what they do and say.
Right.
And so, but that again, that moment, that relationship, that word is key, because the moment that you begin to develop that relationship, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the moment that everybody begins to do things to tear you down, it's
Mhm.
like literally God will take those same exact things and build you up. And it's just like, I'm so like baffled by it. You know what I mean? But it's so consistent now that I began to just embrace it wholeheartedly. And
Yeah.
so it's like, with that said, like, this ride has been amazing.
What is the inspiration behind your music when you're do you write your music?
Yes, ma'am. Every
Okay.
lyric with no pencil. I don't use any paper, pencil,
That's
no phones, no tablets. Like, I literally write in my heart and my mind. I get a beat, or my band will come up with a dope idea and they're like, listen to this. And I pray and God literally gives me words and starts to give me like, I don't know, like this connection of words that begin to develop an idea. And it's
Yes.
like, how did that happen? Oh my God. And then you end up listening back to myself and I'm like, whoa, I said that, you know what I mean? And like I said, it's an amazing thing. I'm inspired by everything around me. I grew up kind of, I don't want to say rough because it all made me who I was. My mother was addicted to crack cocaine for 15 years, but through the grace of God, she's been clean and sober for the past 13. I met my father at his funeral, and I grew up in the east side of South Central Los Angeles.
Wow.
So it's like, when I look back at my life and I look back like all of these different things that God loved me enough to shield me from,
Yes.
it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? And, I'm just inspired to never look like what I came from.
Yes.
I always want people to look at me, and then when they begin to have a conversation with me and hear where I come from, it's like, you're lying. You have to be lying.
Yes.
That can't be the dude. You couldn't have come out of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's when what you say is validated. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because people don't pay attention to those who've never been through anything.
Right.
And I think a lot of us view accomplishments as just monetary things. But the legacy that I have to give to my son is more, the wealth that it is more than just a financial thing. You know what I mean? Because it's, I can teach my son how to tie my tie, what my grandmother taught me. You know what I mean? And I can teach my son. Now I could have a college fund for my son. You know what I mean? Because I wish that my father would have done that for me. So it's like, I'm inspired to just continue to be an example for someone who has gone through something remotely close than I have and is looking to be inspired.
Yes.
And hear one of my songs and are like, oh my God, I felt that way and I didn't know how to express it. And he just said it the same way that I needed to hear it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I'm inspired by. I'm inspired by, someone who has never heard of me. You know what I mean? And could possibly, because of me having this conversation with you, like, oh my God, let me go hear what he's talking about. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm constantly inspired by. Inspiring, inspired people inspire people.
Yes. And you're definitely walking in your purpose. I'm huge on people understanding their purpose, because when you do so, God just pours things into you. I have something where I'm able to talk to people, and I tell people I know it's nothing but the Lord. They come, they tell me what it is they want to do. I don't care if they want to take pictures, sing, rap, cater, whatever. I can talk to them, and the Lord just gives me stuff, just like, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I know it's from the Lord. So when the Lord gives you something and then you apply it and you walk in it, that's nothing but Him. Because if you don't have to write down a lyric and you can just go and spit it out, it's like, that's nothing but the Lord.
Exactly.
He loves the fact that you are being obedient, and He blesses us through our obedience. So that's beautiful. And I have to talk about little Noah. You always have him with you. He's always on stage. He got all this energy. Let's talk about him. I know that's one of your greatest inspirations. And if you don't mind, kind of share your story, because it was touching. I heard it for the first time a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, when I seen you. And I was really touched and inspired, because to the doctors, he wasn't supposed to be here, but to the Lord, he knew what his purpose was. So let's talk about him.
Oh, wow. Well, my son was born with 2 holes in his heart, no veins, no valves, no vessels. He was pre-diagnosed with Down syndrome. They said he wouldn't walk or talk until he was about 5, and at that time he would be at the level of a 1-year-old. And like I said, it's funny because every time I hit a stage, I don't care where it is, because I do everything from churches to bars. If you invite me and my band out, we're going to come. And we're going to do a level of music that you've never even heard before. And if it takes for God to use me to touch somebody that's stone drunk out of their mind, you know what I mean, to deliver them, because it's like, He reaches you at your weakest moments. And it was like, before before I even made a commitment to be a father, I made a commitment to honor the relationship commitments
Mhm.
with me and God. And with that said, it was just like everything that they told me, it's like me and his mom are sitting there, and I know the moment that I shed a tear, not only her, but her entire family will then lose it, because they were in Riverside and I'm in Los Angeles. Some of my family are there. It's Thanksgiving holiday. And with that said, the doctor said, your son will never be an Obama. And it pissed me off so I wanted to choke this dude out.
Oh yeah.
And I literally felt the peace of the Holy Spirit come over me. And I can't, it's like, it may sound cliche-ish, but unless you have that relationship, it'll only sound like that. And I felt him tell me to tell this man, he said, say to him that my faith will make you question everything you went to school to learn.
Wow.
And I looked at him in his eyes and I said that to him, and I had no idea what God was going to do. And so about 9 days later, they let him out of the hospital, and because of his holes, he was only 7 pounds for 7 months. After again 7 months, they did an EKG, still 2 holes, no veins, no valves, no vessels. And so they said they would need to do 4 to 5 surgeries over his life, because as his heart grew, they would have needed to allow the veins and vessels to grow with the stents and splints that they were going to put into his heart. And so right before he went into surgery, after having my young adult pastor pray for him, all my friends and family, those that knew, because with me being in the church, I had to keep him a secret because of the ridicule and the judgment that I would be under, be it that I was an artist who built this umbrella under the church umbrella. There were, and I'm thankful for the people who protected me and shielded me, because at that time I wouldn't have been able to deal with that ridicule. But again, right before he went into surgery, I touched his chest and I just said, in Jesus' name. And it was supposed to be an 8-hour surgery, and I got home, and I didn't want to be there that whole 8 hours. I got home, and my mother was here from Las Vegas, and she was making breakfast. And they called about 2.5 hours into the surgery, and they said, Mr. Gorden. And I said, yes. And they said, we're done. And I'm like, what do you mean we're done? And they were like, there were veins, valves, and vessels that weren't there for 7 months, and all we had to do was sew his hole with his own fiber tissue, which creates its own adhesive. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? They were like, well, as his heart grows, his heart is going to grow with the veins and vessels growing in it. We don't know how that happened. And, with that piece, there also comes a level of swallowing your pride and allowing God to use you to be a vessel. And so I could have, told the doctor, I told you so, and hi, this is in your face, or something real crazy, but I didn't. I hung up the phone with him, and I told, his mom and my mom, and just began to worship. And, literally when I got to the hospital, my son with all of these tubes in him and breathing tubes, I'm literally looking at him and I'm watching him grow. And it's just I'm like, wow, and God said, I will do everything that I can to get your undivided faith. You know what I mean? Not that faith that you're still relying on this medicine that they're giving him. You know what I'm saying? That when you really understand what this medicine does, it has nothing to do with what I've done. But because you're bold enough to get on the stage and proclaim the vision that I've given to you and walk in that purpose, because to me, it's like it may not make sense to people, but you have 3 births as you grow, because the Bible says that before you are born, I know who you are. I know what you do. I know your purpose. I know what you're going to do in your life. So before your mother and your father conceive you, God has already thought of you. So the moment that you're thought of, that's your first birth. Then your physical birth of your mother and father. Then when you give your life to Christ, you are then connected to your purpose. The moment that you walk in your purpose, you can't fail. You may feel like you're failing, but you can't fail, because the moment that you touch 2 people, you know what I mean? The moment that you've touched 2 people, that's when 2 or 3 are gathered together in his name, he'll be in the midst. Because there are people who are praying for me, you know what I'm saying? That I have no idea are praying for me just because they were blessed by seeing Noah or by hearing his testimony. And now my son is 3 years old, walking, talking, running around, speaking in sign language in a classroom with regular 3-year-old kids. I mean, they all have their own learning deficiency, but with him, it's like you may not understand every word that he says. I do. But when I say something to him, he understands fully what I'm saying to him. If you say something to my son, he will be able to understand exactly what you're saying. So you
Yes.
can't tell me who God isn't, because I
Right.
know who he is. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so
Right.
it's like, when every day that I look at my son, because I have the esteem, honor, and pleasure of being a full-time parent, and I thank my son's mom for allowing me that opportunity and that privilege to have him on a daily basis, and to sacrifice seeing him every day, and to be like, I'll only see him on the weekends or every other weekend, or you know what I mean, and
Okay.
knowing that I'm going to be a great father, and sometimes a mother to him as well when she can't be around. Like, I'm thankful to her for allowing me to be that. And it's so amazing,
Yes.
because as a person, as an artist, as a father, as an employee, as a Christian, as a overall humanitarian, you know what I mean, as a philanthropist, I can't give up.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because I see this child who has no idea what, you know what I'm saying,
Yes.
what faith is,
Mm-hmm.
but he lives it unadulterated. Like, he has unadulterated faith as a 3-year-old. But
Yes.
that's why it says, when you come to me, approach me as a child,
Mm-hmm.
because he is literally watching me. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's like, how blessed am I to be a systems to be a application specialist for West Angeles Church,
Mm-hmm.
and have to work every Sunday. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And to
Yeah.
have to take my son to church with me every Sunday. But in the midst of that church, my son is eager to get into the sanctuary, because he's hearing worship come out of there, and he wants to be a part of it. And the moment that he hears a worship song, his hands are lifted. And the moment that a praise song is coming on, he dancing around. And you know what I mean? Like, what kind of God is this?
Right. Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? That
Right.
will love you in the midst of what people consider to be a sin. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the church will demonize having children out of wedlock, when
Mm-hmm.
most of us are children out of wedlock.
Right.
If you
Right.
put a microscope over how most of us were conceived,
Mm-hmm.
we'll go crazy.
Oh
You know what I
yes.
mean? None of us would be worthy. But when grace and mercy kicks in,
Mm-hmm.
it's no boundaries for it.
None.
And that's where relationship comes into play, because
Right.
it doesn't matter, when people in church talk about me bad, or when they see my son, greeting everybody, but he loves women. You know
Right.
what I mean? And then they make comments, you know what I mean? And say things like, you love women like your father does, because of me having them out of wedlock, not knowing how that hurts me. But I'm in a place that's
Right.
above anything that you say. You know what I mean? Because God has me like where I'm above water. So whatever you say is only lifting me higher.
Oh yes, and you know the devil's he's going to attack any way he can. So whatever he can, because anytime you're doing a work for the Lord, he's going to try to stop you. And what I do, to me, it's ministry. My real estate that I sell, my talk shows that I do, my
Mm-hmm,
radio station I have, everything to me is ministry in
mm-hmm,
some form or fashion.
mm-hmm,
But the devil always try to come in and try to stop me. And
mm-hmm,
I go through hurts. I go through a lot of
mm-hmm,
different things. But the faith that I have,
mm-hmm.
he just continues to increase, but it comes with the territory. Everybody's not cut out for what you do. Everybody's not cut out
That.
for what I do. And
Mm-hmm,
they talk about me. I've had so many negative things on me that just really bothered me and just really bothered me. But
mm-hmm.
the Lord let me know, don't even worry about it, because he took care of that. People that talked about me and said certain things, when I look and see, they don't even know the stuff that I know about them. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like the Lord just showing me, don't even worry about it, daughter.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got you.
yeah, yeah.
Don't even worry about it. I got you. So I've been able to grow. But you definitely have a beautiful ministry, a beautiful thing that you're
Thank
doing. I love to see you up there. I love to see you up there with your son, because
you.
he is in the midst of it. And these children need to be in the midst of something positive
Positive. Yes,
instead
ma'am.
of this mess. Because I
Mm-hmm.
heard a celebrity, I'm not going to say their name, but heard their baby singing in the background. They had it all over the internet, and they said, "Oh, it's okay. That's her daughter, so she can do that." So
Yeah, it's
I wish
ridiculous.
that
It's an acceptance now for things, and let me give you, Kima, let me give you a different perspective. You know what I mean? And I hope that like it makes sense to you. But if you read like the story of Job, right? It's like, if you read the story of Job, like, you would understand that the devil only had power that God allowed him to have.
yes,
You know what I mean? So with that said, the devil is not trying to stop you. You know what I mean?
right,
God is trying to grow you. So the only reason why the devil is only kicking his little 2 cents in is because he knows he can't do anything to you.
right,
You know what I mean? So he's going to send little people in little situations, but it's only because God has already condoned it.
Right.
God giving him the okay, you know what I'm saying, to run hell in your life sometimes, because he knows that you're going to show people how heavenly he is. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? And
Oh
so
yeah. Oh
don't
yeah.
give the devil no credit. Don't whisper his name saying he's trying to stop me now. God is trying to grow you. And
Yeah.
with
I like
that,
that.
he's trying to prepare you for the next level you're going to. And
Yeah.
it's actually a compliment to you, because
Yeah.
God wouldn't allow you to go through anything more than what you can bear. You know what I
Right.
mean? So the
Right.
moment that he allows that conflict or that situation to come to you, and you treat it differently than what you did 5, 3, 2 years ago, maybe a week
Right.
ago, you know what I mean? That's him. That's him saying, "Servant, well done. I
Yeah.
got you. Graduation on to that next level." Because
Right.
many are called, but few are chosen.
That's so true.
You know what I'm saying? And when you're
That's so
chosen, your responsibility level is different from those that are called. And a
yes.
lot of chosen people get caught up in what the called are talking about. You can't do that because you're chosen and they're looking at you. And a
Right.
lot of times you're going to be a blessing to those who talk about you. Because
Yes.
I guarantee you, when I hit that stage with Noah, the people
Hmm.
who had a lot to say are crying and rejoicing and worshiping. You know what I
Oh yeah.
mean? And I
Oh
and, I, and I'm like, and I may hold their hand and worship with them in the midst of that, because where I'm going, you can't restrict it.
right. Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You can't
Right.
restrict it. And in order for God to use me to be a blessing to you, I can't allow your mess to frustrate me.
Right. So
So,
true.
man,
So
you know,
true.
devil ain't nobody. You know what I'm
That
saying?
that's
The devil is a pawn in God's chess game in your life,
right.
honestly.
So true. Before I go on, for those that are watching, if you do have questions, you can ask questions now. We do have a few people watching, so just FYI, ask your questions before we wrap it up. Now, you have been nominated for the Southern California Gospel Awards. Are you
Mhm.
aware of that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
sure that's an honor. Um, your music. Let's just real briefly tell people how they can get your CD, how they can find you,
Mhm.
what your next location is, and how we
Mhm.
can keep in contact with you.
They can find my music everywhere. If they put Sense Musiq in Google, man, it's like 60 to 100 pages of music, interviews, videos, pictures, all kind of things will come up. But they can also go to a central location to find that, which is sensmusic.com, which is my website, which has all of that information there. They can also find me on SoundCloud, wow,
Uh,
Revive Nation,
Are you on
SoundCloud.
Amazon? I mean,
Um,
I.
I'm on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. I'm literally everywhere. So that's where they can find me. My next big show will be Gospel Bash,
Okay.
um, which is May the 25th, at West Angeles Church, in the evening. People can't make it. It'll also be live streamed online, on westday.tv or westangeles.church.org.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be at the Southern California Gospel Music Awards. To
Great.
be there. It's my second nomination. I won last year for male artist of the year, which was dope. And so, hey, you know what I'm saying? I mean, even if I don't win, like, it's such an honor just to, like,
Be
be in that
acknowledged. Yeah.
conversation,
Yes.
be acknowledged for what you do, what your heart told you, you know what I mean, was good. And, God put like a circle of friends around you that were willing to, like, iron sharpens iron, you know what I mean? And
Right.
that's another thing, man, people, if your circle is not, like, elevating you,
Yes.
it ain't about what they saying. If your circle is not elevating you with what they're doing, you in
Hmm.
the wrong circle. Because if
That's
if
right.
if everybody talking, you know what I'm saying? They either waiting on you to do something,
Right.
or, you know what I'm saying, they just sitting on their hands.
Mhm.
Everybody that I'm around, my whole entire circle, you know what I mean, of people that God has, like, put in my life, we like, literally, we're always trying to figure out how to take each other to the next level. And I'm so blessed to have that circle. And it's like, do me a favor, like, look around your circle. And if it's not, like, conducive to where you're going, you
Yes.
can't see them, pushing you without saying nothing. If you can't look at their actions and be motivated, you need to find some new friends, honestly.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes, and I say that all the time. I keep to myself now because my circle is very, very small. My
Hmm.
triangle is very, very small
Hmm.
because I need
Hmm.
people that's going to uplift me. I've been
Hmm.
through enough negative, don't
Hmm.
want to deal with it anymore. But
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
so much for being a guest on my show. I really appreciate it. And congratulations to you on your award. And I will definitely be there next week because I will be interviewing and hosting the red carpet. So for those
Okay.
that are watching, yes, I'm really excited about it. That's something I really, really want to get into. I love interviewing people and talking to them. So for those that are watching, make sure you attend the Southern California Gospel Awards. It's on Saturday, May 24th, and the red carpet starts at 6:30. The show starts at 7:30, and after this, you'll have the lineup of what's going on. But make sure you come out. Tickets are only $5. That's it. They're $5. $5. So just sacrifice a McDonald's meal and bring the family out and come out and support Sens, support my boy Moses and everybody else that's involved. Make sure you come out. And for those that are watching, if you're interested in being a part of the show or know someone that will be a great guest for the show, you can always inbox me at actually go to my website, which is kamaspeaks.com. That's KAMA speaks.com /contact us. So stay tuned to what I'm doing. I have more interviews coming up. If you're looking to book me to come out and host any of your shows or anything, also inbox me at booking@kamaspeaks.com. Continue to push and go after your goals. Always walk in your purpose and always pursue your passion. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.